and welcome to Between the Rows. I'm Ed White, your host this week. Today we're going to hear from the creator of a Western Canadian clothing brand who is neatly connected the urban and rural realities of the prairies, finding common ground between farm and city. We're going to hear about an obsession with steam engines that recently drew hundreds of people from across Canada and into the United States to a farm in central Manitoba. And we'll hear about the experience of one man who, as a teenager, met Queen Elizabeth when she visited the Manitoba Summer Fair and she got to inspect his award-winning 4-H calf. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Maybe you've had an idea about upgrading your operation. Maybe about finally getting that renovation done or buying some new equipment. Or maybe you're thinking about how you can be a bit more financially secure from season to season. Get some help making it happen by speaking with an RBC Agriculture Account Manager. Then, set up an investment plan to make even more of your ideas happen. Visit rbc.com/chartyourcourse and get started today.
It was sad news for millions of Canadians when the passing of Queen Elizabeth was announced. The Queen had often visited Canada, but her special affection for horses, livestock, and farming meant that Canada's farming community got to know the monarch better than most. Gord Peters met the Queen when, in 1970, he was 16, and she and her son, who is now King Charles, visited the Manitoba Summer Fair and inspected the winners of the 4-H competition.
At that year, I was in 4-H, and I had the champion 4-H steer in Brandon Summer Fair. So there was a presentations of various animals at to the Queen and her whole family, and I got to meet her then on that day.
And how old were you?
I would have been 70, so I was 52. So I've been it was in grade 11. So.
Wow. So what was that like to meet the Queen at a 4-H event?
Well, it was pretty special because she asked me about my calf. I happened to have raised that calf myself from my own cow at that time. So it was in grade 11. So it was quite a story.
And, everything I've read about the Queen says that she was very, well-schooled in animals, agriculture. What was your feeling speaking with her about your animal?
Well, that's what I felt the same thing, that she was very knowledgeable too about it. And the one memory I have a little bit is you don't shake the Queen's hand, we were told, but she was patting the nose of my calf and it licked her hand.
And how did she react to that?
Oh, it didn't bother her at all.
Yeah.
No, it didn't bother her at all. No, she was great. The whole Prince Philip was that way too, so he was quite knowledgeable. Like I said, the whole family was there at that time.
And so the Queen was there, Prince Philip was there. Which other members of the royal family were there?
Princess Anne and King Charles. Charles.
So you basically got to see the monarchy there that day. When did you have the first idea that you were going to, not just be at a normal 4-H competition, but one that was going to have some sort of a royal imprint on it?
Well, I guess we knew that she was going to be at the event, and whoever had the champion steer that year was going to be part of the group of livestock that was going to be presented. So I think I knew that going in kind of idea, but I didn't know I'd win it. So day or so before that.
And tell me about the animal that won.
It was just a steer I'd raised myself, a Hereford steer on the thing. So it was a good steer. Sold 63 cents a pound. Back then, I thought I got a lot of money for it.
And did you were you a farm kid? Did you come off the farm with the animal to the show?
Oh yeah, no, I was in 4-H for quite a few years. It was a great program, and it was calf. Like I said, I'd raised great calves. So at the end of the day.
And so looking back, all these years to 1970, and with the news of the Queen's passing, what does that experience, I guess, mean to you now? What do you think about it?
Well, I laughed. We read a little picture of her talking to me. I got my steer anyway, and I got a granddaughter that's 10 years old that my wife had mentioned, well, Grandpa had met the Queen. And there's a picture. We'll go up in this room. We got exercise room, and there's a picture there with the Queen. She comes back down. There's no Queen and no picture. And my wife said, yeah, there is. So I had to go up and show her. And she said, well, that's not the Queen. She didn't have her jewels on, her crown. Didn't have her crown on. She was expecting, the 10-year-old was expecting what you see now with the crown and fuller. Yeah, but she just looked like a grandma with her hat on and come and talk to us. So
yeah, no, I bet she was that day. She was, I'm sure, completely at ease at an agricultural event in Brandon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
After the Queen's visit, the Manitoba Winter Fair was accorded the honor of being allowed to call itself the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair, an event that thousands of farmers flock to every year. This is Between the Rows. Most farmers love buying the most modern, most technologically advanced farm equipment. For many, it's the stuff agricultural dreams are made of. But for some, there's nothing quite so romantic as the clanging, chugging, the huffing and puffing and wheezing of the steam tractors that once ruled Canada's farmland. On the Johansson farm on the west side of Lake Manitoba, steam power enthusiasts descended on a beautiful sunny weekend to witness Murray Johansson's impressive collection of working vintage tractors, threshers, and plows. I managed to stop Murray for a moment as he moved from one steam-powered threshing demo to another.
Yeah, so why have you been so committed to building this incredible collection?
Just like this stuff ever since I was a little kid.
Really, yeah? Yeah. What did you begin with?
1630 Rumley tractor.
Right, and how would you sum up now what you got?
Oh, I just enjoy it all. It just kind of didn't expect to end up with this much stuff. It just came one piece at a time, and over the years, and this is what we ended up with.
Hey, and you got a lot of people out here today, even though it's the middle of harvest. Why is it you think folks are so interested in coming out and seeing this, even when it's a busy time in farming?
Well, it's a small hobby compared to the antique car hobby, and a lot of the guys that like these real old Prairie tractors, the real old stuff, we know each other. We're from different provinces, different states, and we're willing to drive a long distance just to play with this old stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys came from a long ways away.
Yeah, where do people come from? Where do you know people here today? Or
the furthest away is Victoria, Kelowna, BC, wow. Hamilton, Ontario.
Today?
Minneapolis, yeah.
Farmer Robert Beamish from Hamiota, Manitoba, was there with generations of his family, all helping out with the event.
As a youngster, being in my early teens and that, I remember us just doing a little bit of this for demonstrations at home. So
when was that? Like, when would that have been?
Well, the late 60s.
Yep.
And one year my uncle said that I could fire the 65 case that we have on the thrashing day, etc. So it was a very proud moment for yours truly. And this is just exciting. This is our history. It very much demonstrates where we've come from. Not my generation, but the previous generation. And being a tail-end baby boomer, we need to see this and see where our heritage came from.
Yeah.
And this is fun. Look at the day we've got.
Steam power still has the ability to inspire. Just ask Trevor Ginter, who was overseeing some of the threshing from atop a wooden product of the Illinois Threshing Company. He was kitted out in the suit jacket and domed hat of the threshing era and sporting a set of long curled mustaches. I asked him about his passion for this ancient equipment.
I come over here to help Murray Johansson here work on the machinery with him and put on this little show that we do here. Every few years we put on a big one. Every fall we usually plow here at his place, which we're going to do here in a few minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's probably the biggest steam plowing event in Canada.
Huh.
He's here on this private farm.
I don't think I've ever seen, steam plowing event. I've seen a lot of threshing, but not a lot of...
Yes.
Yeah.
Plowing this thing, there's about 8 or 10 plows all lined up out there. They're all his. He has basically one plow for every one of his tractors that he's restored. And so this afternoon here, we're going to have a whole row of them. We're going to take off and we're going to do about 40 acres in the next 3 hours.
And I hear you have a lifelong interest in steam engines.
Yes, absolutely.
Steam power.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. No, started at a young age. My dad gave me some old magazines that were steam related when I was about 4 years old, and that's what I learned to read on. And it never stopped from there. Plus, my grandfather had a steam engine and talked about it quite often and about the good old days. Hard, hot, and heavy, and all those wonderful things, but they were the good days to him. And plus, he lived close to where the Austin Agricultural Museum is, and so the two together kind of went hand in hand together to keep the hobby in the blood, or the passion for this sort of thing. And so we've been doing this for a long time. So it's taken a few years, but I got an engine on my own, a couple of them. Steamers. They're not here today. I just help out Murray with his projects here, and it's been a lot of fun actually.
And other than doing this, what do you do? What are you?
Well, for the last dozen years or so, I've been processing hemp as a full-time living, dehauling hemp seed, and that's kind of wound down. And I'm currently in the process of selling that business off, and we're actually rebuilding steam engines and parts full-time.
Really?
As a full-time business. Yeah, we have. I got a full-time machinist hired full-time, and he's here today. And some of the engines here that we've worked on, or several engines that have got our stuff we've worked on, and it just kind of happened.
And I'll bet that's not just local work. I'll bet you're finding customers.
Yeah, right now we got customers bringing actually stuff up from Missouri, Iowa. Right now already we have got stuff that we worked on in Michigan, North Dakota, Montana, and then of course we got some stuff we worked on in Alberta and Saskatchewan. That was always kind of a hobby as a sideline business, and it's just got big enough that we've decided to kind of go it on our own and start doing this full time here in the province. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Kind of fun. You always got to be careful that you want to take your hobby and turn it into a business. So we'll see how it goes. We want to keep it enjoyable, but the most enjoyable part of this whole hobby is the people. There's not a bad apple in the bunch. I mean, when you get involved with these people, if your hobby is working hard, we work harder on our days off than the days we work, and it seems to bring out the right type of people and mindset. And just the people here today, we got people from BC. The guys running the 110 here are from BC. They drove out here just for today. We got guys that are driven out from Alberta, a bunch of guys from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario that flew out from Ontario, just for today. Got people from Minnesota that came here just for today. And we know them all. They're one big family.
Yeah. And
after tonight, we have, a big family gathering is basically what this weekend is. And the people make this hobby spectacular.
Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular. Yep. That's the part that we like.
For photos, go to your copy of The Western Producer, and for photos and video, go to the Producer webpage at www.producer.com. This is Between the Rows. Our next item is of a considerably more current vintage. Cole Thorpe grew up on a family farm on the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. He went to business school at the University of Saskatchewan. Rather than joining a big bank or mining company as a manager upon graduation, he chose to pursue his dream of creating a Prairie-based clothing brand. I first ran into the Prairie Proud logo and Cole at a central Winnipeg street festival 5 or 6 years ago. I next ran into him this summer at Ag in Motion, west of Saskatoon, where he was manning his company's booth. I quizzed him on his ability and desire to create a brand that connects Western Canada's urban and rural realities.
Obviously, agriculture, and hence why we're at Ag in Motion, is a big part of what we do. Our newest design features the cauliflower.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So certainly, it's very much a Prairie-inspired brand from the get-go, and my rural upbringing is definitely where that comes from. So it's been obviously a passion project. Work-life balance still isn't there, but we're working on that. I wouldn't trade the experiences of the last 8 years for anything, but at the same time, these last few years you've had to get very creative to stay alive, right?
So tell me what the pandemic has been like for you, and what's it like to get back to things like this finally?
Yeah, so the pandemic was very stressful in the beginning. I think from just as everybody who dealt with the unknown, right? And my staff at the time, we didn't know what we were dealing with, so a lot of them were unsure if they wanted to come into work, which I certainly respected. But at the same time, as my livelihood, I couldn't just say, okay, we're shutting the doors and we can't do it. And I'd like to say two positive things from the pandemic. One, more people are willing to shop online than ever before, because they were they had to if they wanted to get anything, right? With their favorite store not being open, or they weren't legally allowed to be open because of government rules. If you were going to try to support them, you had to do that online. So that's, if I look at a half glass full mentality, that's a positive thing that came from the pandemic. The other positive thing is more people now realize, okay, if I want my favorite local business to actually be there, but the pandemic hopefully is ramping down, I need to go out of my way to try to support them. And so I was just honest with our audience very early on. I said, I know we're a disposable income-based product. You got to take care of your family, keep food on the table, whatever you need to do. I realize that it's the risk of running a disposable income-based business. But at the end of the day, what that did is the people who did have a little bit of extra disposable income went out of their way. Like, we had our best online year ever in 2020 as a result of more people seeking out local businesses to support. Yeah. So again, indirectly we benefited from that. I wasn't asking for that. I was hoping we could survive, but it actually turned into somewhat of a positive sense. Is that we were able to, again, it was difficult. We had to, we didn't have our storefront open from March to July. We didn't reopen till, and then even still, the last couple of years haven't been traditional retail. It's been a variety. A lot of different
rules change every couple
exactly.
of weeks.
Yeah. So it's now, in terms of getting back to events like this, it's great to be able to obviously share our product in different areas of the prairies as well. And so this event now we've been doing for I think this is our fourth time here with a 2.5-year break or 3-year break. We were here in 2019 last time they had an in-person event. So this type of thing really allows awareness of, and why we come to it is it brings so many people from across the prairies. You're from Winnipeg. We've just had multiple conversations with people from Alberta. Obviously that's our target market, and that's what we're trying to celebrate and also contribute back to. And so definitely this event just makes a lot of sense for us in terms of the connection across the prairie provinces and the connection to agriculture, which we have a significant part of our branding, our website, everything, the imagery that we use, the imagery that we create. It's about celebrating the prairies while also being proud to call them home.
So do you think that's why, like, Osborne Village, where I ran into you guys, that's about as urban as you can get, right? That's like an inner urban environment.
Yes.
Your stuff works there. And here you are at a great big farm show that is like the opposite of a central urban, and it works here. So what do you think you've connected right to hit both of those kind of very dissimilar communities?
Yeah, I think obviously the branding has a rural feel with an urban atmosphere in terms of obviously, again, our storefront is in probably one of the more trendy areas of Saskatoon as well. So again, you wouldn't necessarily maybe equate us with being on Broadway in terms of our product and what we do. But I think combining kind of just a modern take on a Prairie-esque brand is what I've tried to do. Obviously, growing up, I was a huge brand kid. I wanted to have all the latest brands. And obviously at that time when I was growing up, skate brands were huge. huge. And so obviously I took
Like what?
So like DC Shoes, Etnies, Volcom, those are the three main ones that come to mind. But obviously, yeah, I spent my disposable income on those products. And so obviously I take that inspiration as a kid, and obviously now I was just telling Madison I was at a golf tournament here on Saturday, and he'd be maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 years younger than I am, and he was just asking, it was the guys we were playing with, what we all did for work. And so everybody, I was golfing with a banker, an agriculture guy, an iron worker, and then myself. And I said, I'm a small business owner. And he said, what kind of business do you own? And then I said, I run a brand called Prairie Proud. And this guy's just eyes lit up, and he was so excited because he owns several of our items.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just pumped. He said, oh man, I love your stuff. I love your story. So yeah, those are the moments. I reference a lot, those old MasterCard commercials where it would say, a hockey stick costs this much, a pair of skates cost this much, but skating on the backyard pond is priceless. Well, that's a moment for me that you just can't measure how much that is a motivating factor to continue grinding and come into an event like this. Like, it'll be a 10, 12-hour day today in terms of getting out here, setting up, probably restocking for tomorrow. But yeah, obviously you can tell I'm very passionate about it. And I
obviously didn't take the easy road from business school, so.
For sure, yeah. So coming out of business school, I was very passionate about it. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer for a long, long time. But this was kind of a combination of two of my passions. So one, that rural upbringing, my heritage, my history. I'm the fourth generation of my family who's been born and raised in the prairies. My great-grandfather first started grain farming, had cattle as well. And now my cousin's kids will probably be the fifth generation. He's in there like a dirty shirt, lobster. Like, obviously,
is that like back in Russell?
Yeah, so back near, just straight west of Binscarth.
Okay.
So Spy Hill, Saskatchewan is where I started school.
Okay.
So we're just northeast of Spy Hill. And so, yeah, my cousin is now back on the farm, and he's got a couple kids, and his kids are really excited about that world. And my first ever job was cleaning my uncle's bins. So certainly, as much as I maybe not farming today, I still very much have an appreciation and understand what it's like and what it is, how much it matters to our culture and our history within the Prairie provinces.
That's all for this week. Please join us again next week for another edition of Between the Rows. I'm Ed White, and I wish you all a safe, dry, and bountiful harvest.
Maybe you've had an idea about upgrading your operation. Maybe about finally getting that renovation done or buying some new equipment. Or maybe you're thinking about how you can be a bit more financially secure from season to season. Get some help making it happen by speaking with an RBC Agriculture Account Manager. Then, set up an investment plan to make even more of your ideas happen. Visit rbc.com/chartyourcourse and get started today.